Hello and welcome to our newest installment of Night Fights. I'm your host Joey D, and as always we will have our 4 contestants debating on some of the biggest topics in sports and the grand prize of 30 seconds of FaceTime. Let's meet our competitors. We have our 4 competitors, and up first, our first contestant is Vinny DePinto. And our second contestant is young Mike Tyrie. And our third contestant, our special guest all the way from Don Bosco, Chris Langua. And last but least, Joe Malfa. Okay guys, we're about to begin round 1. For first-time viewers, we're going to give you the rules. The first round contains 3 topics. If you win a topic, you'll move on to the next round and will not participate in any other topics. If the round is over, the person left without a win will be eliminated. Does everyone understand the rules? Let's begin. Our first topic of the day, and which is a question, and it's a very important question because most of us are affected by it. Will Kobe's ruptured Achilles end his career? Our first competitor for Night Fights is Vinny DePinto.
I think it's yes and no. If you look, obviously Kobe has that mentality that he never wants his career to end on a bad note. So yeah, he's going to come back next year. But it ends his career as being one of the top players in the league. Kobe has 2 parts of his game. He has an amazing shot, and he's able to drive into the lane and lay it up. If you take out his driving ability, that allows guys to pressure him more, get in his face, which makes his shot attempts that much more difficult to get off. So if you take away his dribble drive, all of a sudden more pressure from the defense comes. He's not going to be able to hit the shots that we are used to seeing. So that's going to be the end of Kobe at the top of the league.
So do I believe Kobe's career is over? No. Do I believe his career as a Laker is over? Yes, and here's why. Next year, Kobe's $30 million against their cap. With a luxury tax, he counts $80 million. So they're going to use their amnesty on him. They're going to sit down. I know it's going to be tough to let go of Kobe, but it's going to be like the Colts did with Peyton Manning. They're going to agree to let him go. With that, the Lakers will be able to sign 2 max players next year and begin rebuilding their team. Kobe's going to pull a Peyton Manning. He's going to go elsewhere. He's going to try to keep his career going. He will not be the same player, though. He's going to be a lot different of a player, like Vinny said, but he will not be a Laker next year.
All right. Listen, this is not going to end Kobe's career. First of all, the only prominent player who's ever ended his career because of ruptured Achilles was Isaiah Thomas back in 1992. Even a guy like Chauncey Billups, he came back from it. But just one important thing to note here. Dominic Wilkins, at age 32, he ruptured his Achilles. He came back the next season, averaged 30 points a game and 7 rebounds, and he played 6 more seasons. Now, Dominic Wilkins was a great player, but Kobe Bryant is a greater player than Dominic Wilkins was, and even he came back from it. Kobe will come back stronger than ever.
All right, I personally do think that this will end Kobe Bryant's career simply because of the reason why that he's obviously one of the greatest players of the game that we've seen this past decade. But he's 34 years old. He's won 5 championships. What else does he really have to prove? There's nothing else that he really wants to go out there and accomplish. He's done it all. Personally, his team obviously just collapsed this year, struggling to make the playoffs. He was able to hold on to those good statistics this year. And now if he comes back with this dying Lakers team, the era is over even if he doesn't leave. This dying Lakers team, it's over. He might not be able to hold on to these good stats. His last year is going to be a really bad year instead of a mediocre year like this year, and we could see another situation like we saw with Brett Favre.
Now that everyone has had their say over the first round, it's time to vote. Please write the name of whoever you think has won this topic and place it in the suitcase in front of you. Once I tallied all the votes, I will read the votes. Now that I have tallied all the votes, it seems that we have a tie. All 4 contestants have voted for one another. So now, to decide the tiebreaker is down to me. The winner of the first topic is Chris Langua. He had pretty impressive stats, and he came up with good. Now on to topic 2. Should the Bucks, now we're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, should the Bucks trade away their first-round pick to acquire the Royal Reapers?
In reality, I think this is the only move for the Bucks at this point. If you look at every single aspect of this team, it's pretty much complete except for at that one point. The only move for the Bucks at this point. If you look at every single aspect of this team, it's pretty much complete except for at that one point. They were the top-rated run defense. They were rated 15th overall in rushing, and they were in the top 10 in passing defense. Passing offense, my bad. Passing defense, however, they were ranked dead last. And if you look at some of the guys in this team, you have Eric Wright, E.J. Biggers, Brandon McDonald right now in the secondary, a bunch of no-names. Revis, without a doubt, even though people are worrying about his injury, would come in and severely affect his team and possibly put them as playoff contenders right now in the NFC.
As Vinny said, I think they should, because right now that's all they need is a corner to go with a strong safety like Mark Barron. Rodney Barber could still be somewhat productive now towards the end of his career. I think they definitely will do this, though, because their GM right now is under a lot of pressure, and everybody's counting on him to go out and get the corner that this team needs. John Idzik of the Jets knows that, and he's just playing hard to get here, knowing that eventually a first-round pick will be given up. So at the end of this, don't be surprised if the Jets come away with a good wealth of picks, just because they're under a lot of pressure to get Revis, and definitely Revis will be there.
I'm going to agree. This is definitely the right move to make. The Bucks, as Vinny said, 32nd in opponent passing defense, which is absolutely terrible. Darrelle Revis is a guy that can go into that team, help him out big time in that category, potentially playoff contenders. Now, the Jets, on the other hand, everybody seems to think that they got to hold on to these guys because they're the last good players on the team. What they really need to do is let go of this whole Mark Sanchez, Rex Ryan era and start getting new guys. From now, they'd have the 9th and 13th first-round draft picks where they can go out, get a new guy for cornerback, maybe even get another quarterback to compete with Mark Sanchez and McLemore, who I don't think either of them will be able to do anything this year. That's going to be their key to starting a new era.
Now it is time to announce the second topic winner. The second topic winner is Joe Malfa. Congratulations, we'll be moving on to the next round. Now that topic 2 is done, we're moving on to topic 3, the final round of the first round. The question is, which is more likely to continue their success throughout the season? The aging Yankees lineup or John Buck?
Okay, well, John Buck in this scenario, of course, 6 home runs beginning of the season. I understand he's in a more relaxed environment, not as much pressure on him with the Mets. However, he's never had a season with over 20 home runs in his life before. He needs to show consistency that he could continue this stretch of power down the season, and then maybe next season, if he starts off good again, I'll know he's going to be good for success the rest of the year. However, the Yankees, they've got guys, even with their aging lineup, a lot of guys, Jeter, A-Rod, Teixeira, Granderson, all in the DL. They'll be coming back later in the season. And guys like Vernon Wells have been stepping up in their place, giving this team a lot of key victories. Robinson Cano with the big home runs last night. I think they're going to be fine. I think when they get the guys back from the disabled list, they'll be good to go.
I think without a doubt the Yankees lineup is going to keep up the success more than John Buck. You have guys, even though they're aging, they've been in this spot before. They've had successful seasons, especially guys like Hafner and Wells. If you look at the pitchers who they've played against so far, they played against guys like Dempster, Chen. They killed Verlander when they played him against Detroit, even when that team was on a 4-game losing streak, and everyone was looking at this team like they were dead in the water, even though it's the first 5 games. Then you look over the Mets, not including Wednesday's game against Colorado, their combined record against teams who they played so far, 16-35. So they're obviously not playing the top competition, and John Buck has not been consistent in doing this over his career, so I need to see a little more from Buck before I give him the go.
Now that the votes are casted, the end of round 1 has ended up with another tie. So I will be a tiebreaker. The winner of that topic, Vinny DePinto. Sorry, Mike, but you've been eliminated. Any last words?
All right, I'd just like to quickly congratulate Kobe Bryant on his outstanding career, which he will not be continuing next year. 5 championships. Very good job, Kobe. Round of applause for you. Congratulations. That's it. Bye.
Round 1 has knocked out Mike Tyrie and has left us with Vinny DePinto, Chris Langua, and Joe Malfa. Round 2 will have only 2 topics. Just like in round 1, if you fail to win a topic, you will be eliminated. This is the beginning of round 2. We'll start off with our first topic in round 2, and here's the question. Which team is more of a threat heading into the playoffs? The New York Rangers or the Islanders?
I think at this point it's clearly the Islanders. You see guys like Molson, Bailey, and Martin contributing to the team like crazy, but if you look at their 2 key guys who they've had over the last couple of years who are really stepping up, guys like John Tavares, who I think is almost a lock at this point to win the Hart Trophy, bring this terrible Islanders team up. They were 3rd in goals and top 10 in points this season, and Nabokov is 20-11 with 3 shutouts and has about a 2.5 goals allowed rate. They're on fire. They're 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. I think any team who plays this Islander team right now should be scared.
I'm gonna have to go with the Rangers here. I feel like the last their last 6 games, I believe they're 4-2-1. They've been clicking on all cylinders if you watch them. Besides that Islander game last night, going down the stretch here, they get to play the Panthers twice, the Hurricanes, the Devils twice, and the Sabres, which in terms of going into the playoffs on a hot streak, those are all games they could win. So the team morale is going to be high. With the games against the Panthers, there's games where you could rest a couple guys, so the guys are going to be fresher. With the guys they got in Chloe and Broussard, they could get on a roll here and make a run in the playoffs. Listen,
I think as Vinny said, it's clearly the Islanders in this case. First of all, they've only lost 1 game in regulation in their last 12, which is as hot as anybody in the NHL. Secondly, in the playoffs, you need a hot goaltender. And if you look at these two teams, right now, Nabokov and Lundqvist, at best you could say they're playing even. Nabokov's probably playing better. The second and the bigger thing is, if the Islanders make the playoffs, they're probably going to play the Capitals, and the Rangers are probably going to play either Pittsburgh or Montreal, which means the Islanders have a way better shot at beating Washington than the Rangers have beating one of the top 2 teams in the NHL. So clearly, I think here it's the Islanders.
Now that the first topic of the second round is over, we will collect the votes. Now that I have the votes, the winner of the first topic in the second round is... Actually, we have a tie between Vinny and Chris. So, the first one out of the first topic, second round, will be Vinny. On to the finale of the second round, we have a topic. And the question is, do you agree with the length of Carlos Quentin's suspension?
I personally do not agree with the 8-game suspension that he received. It's a shame that Zach Greinke got hurt, but you look at past suspensions because of charging the mound, they're never any more than 4 to 6 games. It's a shame that the man got hurt, especially for the Dodgers' sake, but you couldn't have expected him to get hurt like that, and putting more games on just because the guy got injured is not fair in that case.
I'm going to keep the stats out of this one here. First of all, Greinke did break his collarbone, which obviously kills the Dodgers' chances early here in the season. But it should have been way longer than 8 games. Guys, it was a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs in the 6th inning. It's a 3-2 game. How could that be considered intentional? He just charges the mound senselessly for no reason. Hurts Greinke. Greinke's out 3 months. He's out a week. That's clearly not the right thing to do. Baseball needs to make a change with this senseless charging the mound. The only thing it results in is bad things like injuries like this.
It is now time to vote. I will collect the votes once they have been tallied. I have read the votes, and the tally came out that the winner of that topic is Joe Malfa. Congratulations to Joe and Vinny, and they move on to the final round. The winner of this final round between the head-to-head clash between Joe and Vinny will win 30 seconds of face time, our grand prize. Here's our final topic. Should college athletes be paid besides their scholarships?
I'm gonna have to agree with Vinny here that these guys should be paid. You look at everything that they do for their, like you said, for their schools, for the sport, all the revenue it generates, they should be getting paid. Now, how much they should be paid, that should vary by sport and revenue. Somebody who's playing one of the lower sports like rowing or something in college should not be getting paid as much as the guys in college football. It should go based on revenue. And if these guys aren't going to be allowed to get paid, there's at least one thing that I ask. That they're allowed to get a free t-shirt or a free meal on a recruiting trip without being ruled ineligible. That's what I feel right here is the crime. These guys are getting recruiting trips and stuff, and they're not able to get anything without being declared ineligible. So if you're not going to pay them, at least lighten those rules up a little bit.
There's an obvious one. I mean, we're not living in the 80s and the 90s where college football really wasn't a big sport at that time. The revenue last college football alone was $815 million. Now, who's promoting this? The guys in the offices behind there, the coaches, or the guys who risked their careers and their bodies out there on the field? I mean, it's clearly the athletes. You see guys like Kevin Ware, if you bring up a college basketball injury, who just gets his bone completely taken out of his leg. I mean, if you look at this, all the sacrifices they're making really for the publicity of their school, they should definitely be paid. Now, I'm not saying they should be paid giant contracts like MLB guys or NFL guys where they're getting paid $5, $10, $15 million a year. But even if it's a couple $100,000, for what they're doing to really promote their school, they should be getting paid.
Now it's time to vote. As soon as all the votes have been counted for, I will read them all. The votes are in, and the winner of today's night fights is Joe Malfa. Congratulations, Joe. You win our grand prize, 30 seconds of FaceTime. Vinny DePinto, sorry, but you've been eliminated. Any final words?
After last year's magical run for the Devils, I was really excited, looking forward to the NHL playoffs this year, especially when I found out that the hockey was going to be played. But after the last 10 games, obviously all hope is gone. So, too bad for that.
So for my first FaceTime here on Night Fights, I'm going to have to trash the MLB scheduling committee. They've had, with the Indians, the Twins, and Colorado, they've had home games in open-air stadiums that have been canceled with rain or snow against the Mets and the Yankees. That was so stupid. Like, they don't play each other anymore in that city for the rest of the year. And now they have to fly on an off day at some point later in the season just to make those games up. And the other thing, Jackie Robinson Day on the 15th, they did not have a New York team playing at home. That's atrocious. You have to have a New York team playing in the city where Jackie Robinson made his debut.
But for now, I'm Joey D, and as always, good night.